Greetings, I'm Ocelot. With this guide I intend on providing insight on Eliza's playstyle, and on how to use her moveset in conjunction to win efficiently and effectively. I've divided this guide into several parts, which you can select in this menu. Eliza's playstyle can revolve around Keep Out, with her Dark Wave projectile and a set of long-range moves, such as down forward 2-3, down forward 4, forward 3-4, and her Moonglide Stance. She's also capable of fishing for counter hits, with tools such as standing 4, back 1-2, and down 4, all of which are counter hits launchers. Furthermore, the more meter she has, the better her block punishment and wall carry become, since she can cancel certain moves into EXDP, Super, and Moonglide. However, Eliza has to take some risks and commit to them to reap the rewards. A lot of her moves are unsafe, so you have to pick your spots and make those risks count. Generally, you can stay anywhere between 1 to 4 character range. She has some pokes and counter hits to cover point-blank aggression, and from far away she can keep out the projectiles and whiff punish with down forward 2-3. Also to note that this character requires a little bit of execution. Her combos can be a bit tricky, with multiple DPs and dive kicks, and also her punishment requires you to do jabs into DPs, as if you were doing a jab into an electric, so to speak, as well as cancelling jab into a double critical forward motion for a super. Some of these punishers are a bit situational. If you're not confident enough in doing jab into DP2 because you're afraid of getting launched, or if you don't have the execution, maybe you want to try to do 1-2, but ideally you'll always want to do 1 into DP2, jab into DP, because that's the maximum damage. If you want, you can add more damage with meter usage. That's up to you in the situation in the match. It's also important, 14 frames, 2-2 into DP2, and then even if you're at 16 frames and you can do down forward 2-3, always try to do back 4 into DP1, because that's the most damage you're going to get out of the combos. As for while standing punishment, you only really need 2 moves. You need duck jab into DP, or while standing 1 into DP1. While standing 1 into DP1 grants you the DP combo, which gives you the most damage. I'd like to start talking now about her more important moves. And what better way to start talking about them than with the down forward 1. This is a move that you're going to use a lot of times. You're going to see a lot of times on screen, the down forward 1. Everybody has a down forward 1, mostly everybody, a generic one. It's a pretty universal tool, a very quick mid-poke to keep them in check, to keep them from crouching, for a variety of purposes. And this in particular, so 13 frames to startup, like I said, +3 on hit, so you can frame trap into itself, or even down forward 4. It is -3 on block, so be careful not to push buttons after it. It depends on the conditioning of the opponent, but it is -3 on block. Be wary of that. You can, however, sidestep after that. Now you have down forward 1-4 as well. It's an extension to the down forward 1 string. It's a mid-high. Let me warn you that if you get this blocked, you might get punished for it, because the hits do not jail. But there is a work around that. There's a way to work around it. First, let me talk about the down forward 1-4, of course. So it is +2 on hit, and it gives you quite a lot of pushback. So you can induce whiffs with it. You can sidestep, backdash, even crouch if you want, just to taunt your opponent, fall asleep for a little bit. Why not? But yes, pushback and +2 on hit. It's -9 on block, but it still gives you the pushback. The workaround that I said about the high is that if they duck too much, if they get too frisky, then you can use another mid, down forward 1-2, or down forward 1 into down forward 1. That usually works. But down forward 1-2 is also another option that you have, which is mid-mid. It's -2 on hit. Be careful about that. -2 on hit. It's minus on hit, not plus. And there's also another risk on block, which is it's -13. -13. So careful about that as well. Now, another move that I want to talk about is down forward 4. Now, down forward 4, I listed it as a keep out move because it does have quite some range that you can use. You can whiff punish some ridiculous things with this at the tip of the character's limbs, because for hitbox, it reaches far into her toe. And even if you use it from up close, it gives you, look at the pushback that it gives you. It gives you +3 frames on hit, plus the pushback, so you can use again to induce some sort of whiff. And if they stand still, then you can go and apply your mix-up. You should know the frames on block as well. It's -8, but again, pushback. So do what you want with it. Next move is down forward 2-3. Now this move reaches very far. You can actually whiff punish at that range with down forward 2-3. So you're in the neutral and whatnot, somebody whiffs, and you can use this from, like, I wouldn't say half the screen, but you get it that it's an exaggeration. From half the screen away, you can whiff punish and launch them with this. It's 16 frames of startup. But careful about it, because it is -18 on block. It's -18. You can get launched. So Eliza takes some risks, and this is one of them. So really good whiff punisher, but you get launched, or he gets launched. So one of the two are going to get launched. Be wary of that. Next move is back 4. Now back 4, if you look at the data about it, it doesn't really look that good. Like, it is 15 frames of startup, so it is a fast mid, right? But it's a special mid. That means that if they crouch, they can block it. They can crouch and block a mid. What is that? Is this KOF? Well, it's still Tekken, it's a special mid. But that's not why it's good. It's also -2 on hit, and it's -14 on block. So why would you even use this move, right? Look at the range. She takes a step forward before using the move, so you can actually dash and whiff punish with that, and then launch them, because the move special cancels into DP, but you can also cancel into other special moves if you're not very comfortable. There's a section in this guide about special cancels and specials, but your two main options would be into Critical Back 2, back 4 into Critical Back 2, or into DP1 for the combo. Next is Standing 4. Now, let's list all the good things about this move. First of all, it's a homing move. You can see the white sparkles in it. It's a homing move, so anti-sidestep. Second of all, it's 13 frames of startup. It's really quick. So, what's also good about being 13 frames is that it's a countered launcher. So you can frame trap with this as well. It's also a screw attack as well. It is -5 on block. so you can sidestep after it. But the drawback is that it is a high, and be careful not to whiff it as well. So know your range with this move as well. Next move is back 1, 2, 4. So let's talk about the first hit. It is -9 on block. So what you want to do with this move is you want the counter hit. Why the counter hit? Because you get a launcher. There's a follow-up for this. And you want a launcher also because besides being mid-mid, it's 14 frames of startup. So it's a 14 frame mid-mid counter hit launcher. And because of that, it's -13 on block. So this move is -13 on block. So you can get punished for it. But there's a way to prevent your opponent from punishing it. Because if your opponent starts punishing you this, let's say every time, or if you want to prevent him to punish that, they have to keep in mind that you have a follow-up for this move, which you can sort of delay it a bit, which is the 4 extension. Now the 4 extension is also unsafe. It leaves them crouching and is -13 on block. Besides being that, it's also sidesteppable, so you can get actually launched if you do that. But it really is just a mind game, and your opponent has to choose between punishing the first 2 hits or waiting for the second hit, which means that you can go unpunished after using this move plenty of times. So keep that in mind. Another move is down 4. Now, down 4 is 20 frames of startup. It's barely visible, it's pretty fast as a low. Now it is -27 on block. You're gonna get launched if somebody blocks that and sees the stagger. Yes, but I'd say the range is quite alright. It high crushes a bit if he ducks. It's +3 on hit, but mostly the important thing about this move is that you want this. Well, not that. Well, yeah, you want the launch. You want the launch that you get from counter hit. That's all I gotta say about that move. Another counter launcher. Now, you have also, as a low, down 3. Down 3 is unseeable, it's 15 frames of startup, and as you can see, the range is alright, but you don't really want to use it at tip range. You want to use it from up close. Now, let me tell you the data. It's -5 on hit, and it's -16 on block. You can get launched if somebody blocks it. But really, people shouldn't want to launch you after this, because the special thing about this move, which is why I listed it as a good move, is that like back 4, you can cancel it into certain moves, into specials. So, what you want to do mostly is down 3 into DP, and on clean hit, which means from a close range, this will combo. This is a combo. This is not though. But down 3 into corsical back 2 is something that you can use as sort of a frame trap. Right? Let me see if I can explain. You can use this move plenty of times on hit by itself. It doesn't do really good damage. It's 7 damage. It's bad damage actually. But if the opponent wants to try to do something after it, because it is minus on hit and on block, then you have this as a sort of a frame trap. You can cancel it. And this is -13 on block. Cortical back 2. But go ahead and use it a bunch of times. And let me just check something real quick. Yeah, it's a counter hit combo. So that's also something you should keep in mind. So down 3 into DP. If you want, you can also use down 3 into cortical forward 1, which isn't a combo anyway, but it's safer, I guess. It's -10. Be wary that you might be able to be interrupted between the hits. So just remember that you want to do the DP after that. And that's a combo. You can get a launcher from that. See, it's a good move. Next is 2-2. 2-2, you can look if the 2 hits hit. You can hit confirm the follow-up. So you can watch and see, okay, are the 2 hits gonna hit? If the first one hits, then the second one is gonna hit for sure, since it is natural combo. And once that happens, you can do a follow-up. You can combo it into a special. You can special cancel it. Now, 2-2 by itself is +1 on hit and -13 on block. Again, you shouldn't use it by itself. You should use it with the intent of using a cancel out of it. So if you want, you can get cheeky and use even a dive kick. Be careful if that thing doesn't whiff sometimes on block. But you should want to keep your opponent in check even on block with critical back 2, for example. So let's say that you use this, right, on block, and that move, the dive kick 4, is plus something, it's plus frames, but it's pretty slow and your opponent can sidestep. But what you can also do is then use critical back 2, and they'll get hit out of their sidestep. Now, Dark Wave, or projectile. This is a tool you'll use like from this. The max range for this move is around. Let's see how far it goes. So it's around this range. There you go. That's the range you should be using this move. From up close, it's not very good on block. It's -13 on block, and it's -5 on hit. But the frame data depends really on the distance from which you hit this. So if you hit it from here, where you have already recovered from the move, then the frame advantage will be better for you. That's what I mean. But yes, think of a projectile as, for example, a down forward 4, right? Think of a projectile as like a down forward 4, but it's slower and it has more range. So think of it as an extension of a limb. Imagine Eliza has like a really big stretchy arm, and it reaches that far. So that's what you can use it for. There's no reason for an opponent to whiff at that range, but from this range even, you can attempt to whiff punish, where down forward 2-3 doesn't reach. You can attempt to whiff punish with this, and it actually works. You can even go and run, and then wait for something, then do that. Also, you can dash out of it with the DP 3+4, 4 neutral down forward 3+4, which goes into our Moonglide Stance. We'll talk about later, but be aware that you can actually do that, and it's going to be used in combos and for other cheeky things. There's also the one version of the projectile. The reach isn't that great, and it can get punished if you whiff it, but it has a lingering hitbox. So if people step into you at the wrong time, they actually can get hit by it, and it causes knockdown. And also, it's -10 on block, so it's safer than if you want to do, say, the projectile from up close with the 2 version. So you can keep that in mind. To me, those are the most important moves she has. Like, you can sidestep the projectile, no problem. People sidestep all the time, but it's annoying and it frustrates the opponent to be at this range and not be able to just go into you and do a move. You can keep them out by doing this, and switch up the times of your projectiles as well. Right? That's all I gotta say. Just switch up the timing and sidestep with your opponent as well. Do some green backdashing. Observe them. Don't stay on one place and do this, because then it will be easy to sidestep. Then it will be easy to jump over the projectiles or use a power crush through them or something. Alright, it's also a mid. It looks like it's a low, but it's a mid. It's a special mid, so they can actually crouch and block this move as well. Okay, now it's time to give you a quick rundown of our launchers. So basically everything that cancels into a special, anything that cancels into a special can become a launcher thanks to its super. But you do need 2 bars to do it, so jab and duck jab become 2 launchers. Then you have 1, 2, 3. The last hit is a launcher. It is minus 22 on block. This is not a good move to throw out. It's mostly to prevent people from pressing buttons after 1, 2, but the risk is too big in my opinion. You can use, however, 1, 2, 4, which is not a launcher, but for that purpose, I guess you can do that. 2, 2 is also a launcher, and you really don't need 2 bars to do a lot of damage. You can get 58 just from DP 1 plus 2, so keep that in mind as well. 3 plus 4 is also a launcher. 3 plus 4 is their Snake Edge, low crushes, and it's also a low that launches. So, and it's also a homing move. So I can see how a lot of not so good players or beginner players might be attracted to this move, but don't rely on it. Use it sparingly and wisely. That's what I have to say. Down forward 2, 3, as discussed in top 10 moves, good range, and minus 18 on block. Mid. Use it to whiff punish. Down 3 also becomes a launcher on clean hit. Back 4 launches by cancelling into DP 1. Her jumping moves, jumping 2 and jumping 4 can be linked into her back 4. Now you have to do a deep jump for this, and don't press back 4 immediately. Let her hit the ground first, or you can buffer it as well a little bit, and from back 4 then you can launch with DP. That's how you get the most damage, but jumping comes only in specific situations. We'll get to that later. You also have dive kick 4, which links into jab, and the way you do this, we'll see it later as well, but it's basically you jump and you immediately do critical back 4. It's also plus frames on block, keep that in mind. This is kind of a good move. Here's another one, forward 3, 4. It's a high minus 7 on hit. Homing move as well, has pretty good range, auto screws. And it's also her 3, 4 from Moonglide. So you do forward 4 into 3, 4. Good move to keep in mind as well. Keeps them from sidestepping at farther ranges. Next you have forward 4, 2, and this by itself is not a launcher. It's minus 13 on block, and you really want it for the cancelling to critical forward 1. And from this is kind of tight to do. So that's tight to do. You have to micro dash into down 3 critical back 1 for the screw attack. It's tight to do. If you can do it, then all the better for you, because you don't have to use meter. Otherwise you're gonna have to use the easy mode dash with DP 3 plus 4 after critical forward 1. But you should, if you're going to whiff punish with this, you definitely try to do the micro dash. Otherwise, I don't think I really recommend this move as a launcher. Next you have critical back 3 plus 4, which is her dive kick. This is minus 13 on block. Now it gives you quite a lot of pushback, so don't expect to be punished if you do this on block. It's also a follow-up for another move that we'll see soon enough. Now her super critical forward 1 plus 2 is of course a launcher. That's why any move that can cancel into it becomes a launcher. It's safe on block, by the way. It's completely safe on block. Not only because of the pushback, but also the frames. I think it's like neutral on block. Now DP1 is a launcher, so moves that cancel into DP1 also become launcher, like while standing 1, which we're about to talk about, and back 4. So while standing 1, 14 frame while standing launcher. If you want, you can duck from a certain distance and use it as this, but you still have to commit. moving on to her counter hit launchers now. You have 1-1. 1-1 is only 1-1 is a natural counter hit combo. So after that, you can cancel into whatever you want. You also have 1, 2, 3. If the second hit is on counter hit, then the 3 will connect. Well, just thought I'd let you know, but it's not really that useful. Really, just don't use that move at all. Then you have 4, as we discussed. Homing, safe, counter hit launcher, 13 frames, -5 on block, homing move. Yeah, just say it was a homing move, it's a homing move. It's also a high. And a screw attack, so have fun with this move. Then we have down 4, low launcher, a bit of a high crush as well. It staggers on block, you're gonna get launched, but it's a necessary evil. So throw it out a bunch of times and hope you get that launcher. Back 1-2 as well, discussed in top 10 moves. 14 frame mid launcher, -13 on block. You have the follow-up to make it pseudo-safe. Follow-up is sidesteppable and also -13 on block leaves the opponent on crouching so they can punish you. So the mind game is really, like I said before, either punish that hit if you get it blocked or punish the follow-up. The opponent has to make a choice. But overall, good move, use it. Next is back 2-3. Only the second hit of this move is a counter launcher. So what you can do is, this is a move that I should spend a little more time explaining. This is 11 frames on startup, and it's delayable and it's also hit confirmable. Now what's also good about this move is that since it is delayable, you can throw out a bunch of back 2s and hope for them to do something to even duck or try to push a button, and then you can do the 3 extension, the mid, to get the launcher. So I like to use this move because it's also safe on block. Another one that it's a bit conspicuous and hidden, you might not know about it, is Moonglide 4 actually. So what's the follow-up for this? It's dive kick. That thing, if they don't tech that, I don't think they can tech that actually. But that becomes a launcher with critical back 3+4. However, the move itself is launch punishable. It's -24 on block. Next you have critical back 1. It's an auto screw attack. It's -14 on block. I wouldn't really recommend using it. Next you have critical back 2. This is also a counter launcher. Gives that stun. It's -13. So instead of using critical back 1, maybe you want to use critical back 2, because it's -13. Because critical back 1 is a horizontal swipe, you might have a little bit more tracking than critical back 2, but I still use critical back 2 as my preferred option, though I don't use it directly as a counter hit option. I usually do it from a down 3, for example. Lastly, we have while standing 2. I don't think you should ever throw out this move unless by accident. Otherwise, you should try to do this while standing 1 into DP1, or whiff punish with this. Right, so it's -12 on block, and it's 15 frames of startup. Word on the street is, homing moves are cool, so let's talk about them. Standing 4, go to top 10 moves to look at this move further, but the basic rundown is knockdown, wall splat, counter hit launcher, screw attack, safe on block, -5 only, it's a high though. Use it plenty of times, just not too many times. Next is forward 1+2. Now, it's also her power crush. So, -13 on block, be careful about that. It's a power crush, does wall splat and knocks down as well. And being a homing move, I wouldn't use this as a homing move. It's also kind of slow. Being a power crush is more of an added feature. So let's say, for example, somebody wants to sidestep and whiff punish you for something. This covers both options. So if they sidestep, normally with a power crush, some power crushes are linear. You would, I'm gonna do a power crush, go right through your move, and maybe you could whiff because they would sidestep. In this case, if they try to sidestep, you're gonna hit them unless they block. And if they try to sidestep and whiff punish, you're gonna hit them anyway. So it's kind of for that sort of situation. I wouldn't use this very regularly, just situationally. Next is down forward 3. Now this move is kinda so slow, it's about 25 frames of startup. It's not as slow as Hwarang's left flamingo stance 1+4 unblockable, which is 69 frames of startup. But it is still pretty slow. And I'll tell you the good things about this move. It has a fair amount of range, like you can throw it out from around here, it's cool. Does it knock down in a wall splat as well. We'll talk about more this move at the wall. But on wake up it's also good, because some people I've been told that it kind of looks like her snake edge, so maybe there's some use in that. Like snake edge by itself, you can punish a wake up hop kick, but yeah, you can punish some wake up kicks with this move as well. It also low crushes since she is jumping. And also another cool thing is that it's -8 on block with that type of pushback. So not a spammable move really, but due to its good range and it's safe on block and it low crushes as well, it's a pretty cool move. Now you have forward 3-4, also known as Moonglide 3-4, and we'll talk about this move in Moonglide. So it's high, safe on block, launches on normal hit, and it also jails. So if they block the first hit, they have to duck the second. The main use for this is when you're controlling space from this situation. You're throwing out some Reppuken, some dark waves. You decide to be cute and sidestep, and you say no, and then you do that. That's kind of the main purpose behind this move. That's what I believe. This is her 3+4, it's their snake edge, low crushing, low launcher, also a homing move. Here's a tip on how to use it as a homing move. Don't. I have heard that Eliza has a stance, and what stance is this? It's Moonglide Stance. Here, it's not really a stance, it's more of a dash. She goes forward, and it doesn't look like she covers a whole lot of distance, but her moves have some big forward momentum, as you saw right there. So this is basically her tool to approach from this range, and if people start to counter her fireball spam or projectile spam, then you can use this stance to perform a mix-up. And it's cool because the mix-ups from this stance are kind of legit. First, let's start with, she has this string, and you know, in the neutral this string is not good at all. Yeah, sure, these two hits are safe. They are high, so be careful if you don't get launched. But these two hits are safe. They don't give a lot of frame advantage on hit. First one is +2, second one is +1. Then the third one, you can actually delay the third one. It's a mid, it goes into a forward 1+2, except it doesn't have the armor, but it's still -13. And it also gives a knockdown, like that. And you mostly want to use this full string when you're doing combos and you want a wall carry. So that's the use for that. And now you have Moonglide 2, which is also done by inputting forward 2, like that. It's her mid option from Moonglide. She goes to sleep and she gains some meter. If you want to get out of the sleep stance, I guess that's what you would call it, you just have to hold back as you do the move, as you hit the move, see? She doesn't fall asleep. So that's your mid option. It can be sidestepped. She has now, because she, it can be sidestepped. Let's try to look at it this way. So you approach your opponent with this move, right? And they keep blocking because it's a mid. So your more immediate thought would be, okay, I'm gonna do a low. Here's the low. It's Moonglide 4, and let me see if I can show max distance. So that's the tip of the move that hits. I think that's the max distance, and it moves a lot. Like it has a lot of range, has a lot of forward momentum, and it knocks down. It's minus 24 on block. Be careful, you're gonna get launched if somebody blocks this and punishes. But something cool about this move is if you hit a counter hit, that thing is guaranteed. Cortical back 3+4, that's a combo, and you get a combo for that. So that's cool. Keep that in mind. Now what if they sidestep? Because these options, they can be sidestepped either way, if I'm not mistaken, but they can be sidestepped. They're not homing moves. But this one is. Moonglide 3-4. That's Moonglide 3. So this is also forward 4-3-4. Cool thing about this move is, so it has hella range, has a lot of range, and these two hits jail. So if they block the first hit, they have to not duck. They have to block the second hit. What I wanted to say was that they can't duck the second hit if they block the first. But it is a high, so if they duck all of the hits, they can launch you. But most of the times, they wouldn't want to duck it, because she has this, right? And because you're going to be conditioning them to not block this move, since it is also, quick to come out. So safe on block, launches on normal hit. It's also a screw attack and a homing move. So these three moves work well together. So that's Moonglide 2, Moonglide 4, the mid, the low, and then the homing move if they decide to, move around. Now, what they can do is as soon as they see the dash, they can probably try to sidestep block or sidestep duck. It's kind of an advanced strat, but they might try to do that. Even still, as long as you use it sparingly. If you don't use like every time the low and every time something, something predictable. Just don't be predictable about it. It's a good stance to use. Oh, there's a special move from this. Moonglide 1+2. This is her unblockable. So it's a mid, and you can also do it as down back 1+2. It's not listed in the move list, the down back 1+2 option, but it is there. This unblockable, it's well, yeah, you can surprise your opponents with it. It's pretty fun. She can cancel some of her specials. Well, only the projectile can be cancelled into the dash with forward neutral down forward 3+4, DP 3+4, and with that you can actually use this stance as a way to gain ground. You have the projectile to cover the ground right in front of you. So sometimes you can get away with funny things like this. That thing is a combo, or this. That's also a combo if the projectile hits. And what's really funny is like doing the unblockable, because they stand still in the same position and then they get hit by that thing. I find it pretty funny. Also, don't forget that the dash itself, you're vulnerable during the dash, but because they're expecting a move to come out during the dash, once you condition your opponent to understand, okay, guess what's coming out of this dash, right? Then you can go and just dash on their face and do nothing. Why not? That's kind of an advanced mind game. But sure, you can do that. Like, you go, oh, nothing happened, and then like something like that. Just an example. Just something for you to think about. Now it's time to talk about her specials. What's a special? This is 2D fighting game terminology. Special is a move that requires a more complex motion, plus an attack button. So like a quarter circle forward, or half circle forward, or a DP motion. But what's special about the special is that you can cancel normals into specials. What's a normal? Well, you don't really need to know what normal is, you just need to know that Eliza has certain moves that can be cancelled into those specials. And that creates a mix-up because you can do a sort of a string from the normals that don't have an immediate follow-up. Like, let's say she has a back 1, 2, 4, right? That's a string. But from back 4, she doesn't have any other move. But you can do a special out of that, and something new is created. So that's what you're going to use these for. But some specials do have purposes in the neutral. We'll also look at those. Now these specials come in batches. The first batch that we're going to look at is her projectiles. It's quarter forward 1, quarter forward 2, and quarter forward 1 plus 2. So quarter forward 1 is the projectile with the least range. It's minus 10 on block. It doesn't natural combo from anything. And why would you want to use this? Well, this is a follow-up for this. And that's a difficult combo to do. But if you want a combo from this move, that's what you want to do. It's forward forward, forward 2 into that. And that was me trying to do the combo, trying to insist. Moving on. Oh, right. You should also know that these projectiles hit grounded opponents, so you can use that, for example. But the more important version of this move is the quarter forward 2, which I covered in the top 10 moves. It's more of a, think of it as an extension of your limbs. This is minus 13 on point blank, so be careful about that. But it reaches pretty far, and even though it is steppable, what you're trying to do is either whiff punish from this range. I don't think your opponent should be throwing moves out from this range. But some characters do have the ability to throw out buttons from this range. And you can just backdash, throw one of these out. And you can throw these out in the neutral as well to make the opponent do something. They can sidestep these moves. Yeah, it's true. They can jump over them, they can duck and block them because there are special mids, but more importantly, you're making the opponent take an action and possibly distract them from doing something else, and bait them into doing something that you want. For example, do this, right? And then they sidestep a lot. But what if you do this and then you do, like, maybe you're gonna do the same move, but then you do a homing move from that particular range, and you score yourself a launcher like that, for example, right? Or you do this to zone out and then you approach with the Moonglide Stance. There's that. It also hits grounded opponents, like this. Now, the other version, with the X version with meter, it gives plus 5 on block and knockdown. What uses are there for it? I'm not sure. I usually do it by accident when I want to do an EXDP. I don't have any particular uses for it, so I can skip this move entirely. The next batch is the Corsical back, basically her Rekkas, which has Corsical back 1 and Corsical back 2. Corsical back 1 is, well, it gives a launcher on counter hit, first know that. Right? Auto screw attack. It gives a wall splat, you can see it gives a backspin animation. It is also a screw attack, so you can use it during combos. And it tracks to her right. Well, it tracks mostly to her right. See, it tracks mostly to her right. But if you do like a deep sidestep, maybe you can do something about that. It is minus 14, I'm gonna show you now. Come on, do it. That's minus 14, it hurts, so don't abuse it too much. Alright, so Corsical back 1, it tracks to her right. So if you sidestep left, you're going to get hit. Which means you're going to want to sidestep to the right. But there's a move that tracks to that direction as well. It's Quartz Go Back 2. There you go. But it's weak to the other side. So one move tracks one side, the other move tracks the other. It's also a counter launcher, like that. Like that. It's also a counter launcher. Alright, so what's the big deal with this move? With these moves? Quartz Go Back 2 is -13 on block. Be wary of that as well. So what's the big deal? To explain it further, I'm going to have to show you the dive kicks, because there's a dynamic between the dive kicks and the rekkas. What I want to show you now is Quartz Go Back 1+2. So as you can see from Quartz Go Back 1+2, I mean, from down 3, you can combo into Quartz Go Back 1+2, which gives a wall splat into Big Danny at the wall. This is a natural combo from an unseeable low, and it's -14 on block as well. The X version, it takes half of your bar, so there's that. Now moving on to her dive kicks. There's Quartz Go Back 4 and Quartz Go Back 3, and then Quartz Go Back 3+4. Now, there's an air version of these moves as well. First of all, Quartz Go Back 4, the reason why you want to use this move is frame advantage. This move is... you see a lot of Elizas doing this. This is plus frames on block and on hit. How many plus frames? It can go from like an unknown quantity to +4 or +5. It depends on the height of which you hit the opponent, but it gives plus frames. You can think about that. The air version also depends on the height of like where the foot hits your opponent. There's a quick way of doing the air version. So the normal version is you jump and you do this, right? But you want to do it quick, because if you do it quick, you have less recovery, and you can do more things out of that. So there's one way, which is the tiger knee motion. So what I do, it's the ancient tiger knee motion for Sagat's tiger knee. It's one of Sagat's moves. Sagat is a character from Street Fighter. Yeah, it's hard to do. Like that. It's Quartz Go Back, and then up back, and 4. So this causes Eliza to do the move as soon as she leaps off the ground. It gives you the least recovery, or the fastest recovery, and the more frames on block and on hit. So you can do that. The way that I do it, so as you can see, I can still do the combo with this version, so that's good, I guess. And what I do is I jump, and as soon as I jump, I do Quartz Go Back 4. It's not as fast as the tiger knee motion, but it works. And you can also do multiple dive kick combos from this. See? So, my version works too. You can use that if you want. So, people use this from crouch jab, right? So, this is Eliza doing a loop of dive kicks. And first, I'm going to try to trade the jab. Wait, without getting hit. Yeah, you can trade with the jab. And then you can sidestep. Well, not that way. And sidestep to the left. Now, because you can sidestep to the left, didn't we have a move that tracked to the left? Oh, wait a minute. If they catch up to you that you're trying to sidestep to the left, we do have a move that tracks to the left. Which one was it? Oh! Oh! See the dynamic that's going on here now? And if they push a button, if they want to trade or something, they're gonna eat a counter hit. So that's the dynamic that I was talking about between these two packs of specials. If you do this, you're making them stay still in the same place. You're making them eat your offense. And when they attempt to retaliate, you can duck jab into this. There's the drawback of they might parry your duck jab. So for that you can do something else. If they attempt to parry, that is. They have more than one possibility to get around your offense, but you have also like back 4 as well, or down 4. Well, they're gonna also parry that. But the basic idea is really, you know, do dive kicks for offense, and if they try to sidestep, then one of those, or if you want even like a homing move. The game evolves, but that's the basic idea that I'm trying to show. Now the other version is Kurtzaka Back 3, and Kurtzaka Back 3, well, it can also be done from air. It's safe as long as you hit it with like the tip of it. Otherwise, it can be -6 from the furthest range, and -14 if you hit it really point blank. So you don't want to hit it point blank. But there are some situations where maybe you want to do... It works as a sway back attack, as a back sway. And because it wall splats, you can do this thing. See? It wall splats. Thanks to that knockdown as well. And it also hits grounded opponents, kind of like a ground missile. You can use it for Okizeme as well. There's a part in Okizeme about that, by the way. There's Kurtzaka Back 3+4. This is a -13 on block launcher, but see the pushback. They cannot punish you. I don't know of one character who can reach that far with a 13 frame move. So it's safe due to the pushback. And it gives an auto screw attack. As we've seen with the Moonglide Stance as well, you can do this. If they decide to stay on the ground, then they're gonna have to deal with one of those. Yeah, it's also move for Okizeme. So the final two moves are DPs. DP1, here's the rule about DP1, and this is the rule that I want you to follow, because if you don't follow this rule, then I'm just going to assume that you want to lose or something. It's really... you can play Tekken in a bunch of ways, but there are certain tools that, if you don't use them for that purpose, you're killing yourself or you're not doing something right. So, DP1, you use it only when you want to punish something on block into a launcher. You use it only from back 4, if you do like a whiff punish, right, into that, or a block punish, or while standing 1. These are the only two moves that go into DP1, and that's the only use for this move, because it's pretty slow. It's -20, like 23 or 28 on block. You're gonna get killed. It's not used in the neutral at all. Cancel it from one of the moves. Now you have DP2, which is a bit more useful for its purpose, that is, and it's a quicker version. So this version you can cancel from it from down 3, and it's going to be a combo only on clean hit. If you hit it from tip range, it's not going to be. So be careful at the range which you hit this move, otherwise, boom, you get launched. You don't want to get launched unless you're playing against me. Then I want you to get launched because I want to win the match. She basically gets a hell sweep thanks to this move. 34 damage, launch punishable from an unseeable low. Now she has EXDP. Now, what does EXDP do? There are two situations where you want to use EXDP. The first situation is if you want a lot of Danny. That's from a 10 frame Punisher, look at that. And this is from a 14 frame Punisher. You get almost combo damage, 58 damage. That's more 10 damage than the DP2 version. We'll get to meter management, but I think it's worth it for that. Now there's another situation. The second situation is invincibility frames. This is invincibility on startup. I don't think it's on frame 0 exactly, but it's close to frame 0. I have a setup to show you. So as you know, this move, back to 3, is it's -9 on block. What I'm going to do with this Eliza, with the Eliza I'm doing, is I'm going to mash jab. And the other Eliza is going to do an EXDP. Did you see that? Now I did a down forward 1. Now I did a down forward 2. I mean 4. Which is, and down forward 4 is a 12 frame mid. So as you saw, Eliza went completely through all of the other moves. This has invincibility frames on startup. The point is that you can take moves that are heavily minus on block, but that are not unsafe, and you can add a new string, so to speak, which is launch punishable on block. But it mostly keeps your opponent in check, and here's a common mistake that Street Fighter players, bad ones or new ones, fall when they're using DPs. They use DPs the same way lilies use Matterhorns and hop kicks, and everybody wants to use crushes. Whenever they feel threatened, they throw one of these out. I'm gonna tell you, this is not a good idea. Have a plan when you want to use these moves. If you block like while running 3, I don't think that's a good idea to use one of these moves, because usually those are like plus 15 or something. So you don't recover quick enough to input a DP. So in that type of situation, you should block. But if you're like plus 9, don't be predictable about it, because otherwise you're gonna get baited into doing EXDPs and then getting launched. What I'm really saying is just think about what the hell you're doing when you throw one of these out, because they're pretty dangerous, right? So, summarizing, 2 situations: big damage, or setups, getting out of tough situations when you don't really see any other option. Exhaust all of your other options in defense before throwing one of these out, just saying, okay? Oh, right, we have the super. Her super, so I didn't cancel it properly, so it did unblock. You can cancel it, so it's a natural combo. But I did it to show you the pushback, and also to show that it's safe due to the pushback. As for the frames, it is -7 on block. So even if you block it at the wall, it's gonna be safe. But yeah, you can cancel it from jabs, and you can even get a combo off of it. You can cancel it from down 3. See? So you basically get a low launcher that does that sort of damage. I don't think that's even the correct combo. We'll get to that later as well. But as you saw, you can get a launcher from a 15 frame unseeable low with full meter, that is, so full meter for that. That's what I gotta say about the super. Super, you want to cancel into it. You don't ever want to throw it out raw. Alright. That's all for the specials. There are some practical applications of jumping. If you see yourself that your opponent is completing a predictable string, or some situations that you've studied, here's some examples by the way, then you may recur to jumping as a way to avoid that and punish. You can also use it as a way to punish wake-up kicks if it's a low wake-up kick and get big damage. Think of jumping as a very slow orbital. If you can make your opponent stand still for a while, then you can do a jumping normal to obtain some frame advantage on block, and if you do hit it, though you have to hit it at a low point in the jump, then you can get big damage from the combo, though I wouldn't really advise to use a jumping normal most of the times. It's not something you're going to use a lot of the times, because jumps are slow. Now you can also use a dive kick, for example, and if you can get your opponent to hesitate and stand still, and not sidestep or try to do an action, then you can actually do an empty jump, which means jump and do nothing into, for example, empty jump, down 3 into DP2. Managing a meter gauge is new to Tekken. Usually Tekken players have access to their full moveset and they can choose to do whatever they want, but meter is a way of restricting your options that otherwise could be potentially a little bit too good for the character. At least in concept, I suppose that's what it is for. But let's talk about how to handle that meter. First of all, how you get meter. You can get meter by hitting your opponent and also by getting hit. You can see it builds slowly. But you can also block moves. And if you get your own moves blocked, it also builds meter. There are other ways of building meter too. One of them, well, the other one is by sleeping. So when you hit moves like forward, forward 2, you can see that she goes to sleep and builds some meter after she goes to sleep. You can lay in crouch for a while, for like 2 seconds, and she goes to sleep, builds meter as well. And if you do her down 1+2 stance, then she gains more meter as well. As to how to manage the meter, you can do whatever you want with it, but my preference is I would save one full stock, half a bar, half of the full bar, that is, at all times, and that's because of Eliza's wall game potential. So that's basically it covers both getting to the wall and staying at the wall and scoring a wall splat. It's also useful for punishment, but I would put the emphasis on the wall. I chose this stage to show you how you can take your opponent to the wall fairly easily with one stock of meter, and this is a fairly big stage. So as you see, you're already here at the wall. Probably don't get the wall splat from that distance, but it's almost from one side of the stage to another. In case you find yourself in this situation without having to use meter, then you can also use it to do this. On clean hit, that's a natural combo. Like that. And you get a wall splat from an unseeable 15 frame low. The move you use from that is Quartz back 1+2, which is -14 on block, but it's useful to keep in mind as well. If you do happen to have full meter, something like that, so 69 damage from a low launcher and full meter, so you can also jab into a launcher. That's a 10 frame punisher. So if you gain a lot of meter and let's say that feel comfortable in doing that sort of punish, then go for it. But really my tip is to have one stock of meter at all times so you can get close to the wall. Now it's time to talk about the wall. What do you do at the wall? In the previous section, in meter management, I talked about how it was important to keep a stock, at least one stock of meter for the wall, be it for a wall carry combo, or at the wall for scoring wall splat. We're going to take a look at that here, but first let's talk about her meterless options, because she does have quite a lot of things to do to get the opponent to the wall and get big damage. So first one that immediately comes to my mind is Standing 4. Standing 4 restricts your opponent's movement, high homing move, and because you're at the wall you don't really have the risk of whiffing the move, because they are stuck there. So their only option, they cannot backdash to make your move whiff. They have to sidestep. That's why it's so good, especially at the wall, being a homing move. It's also a high, so that might give them a reason to duck. But on the other hand, you have down forward 3, which is a homing mid. If they do decide to duck, you might have a hard time hitting with this move because it is so slow, but it depends on how you condition your opponent. It depends also your options on wake up, because you can do a mix up on wake up, and which may cause them to duck. Forward 4-2. Safe mid wall splatting. Mid. You have to hold back so she doesn't fall asleep after you hit this move. If you want the combo, which you do, you have to hold back. After 4-4-2, hold back. Another option is back 3-1. Back 3-1 is safe on block. It's a high. They may attempt to duck it if they know about it, but here's what's very good about it. Look at the delay and how it's a natural combo. I set my opponent to stand and guard all. So first they just get hit by the second move, right? And then they block the second if it's not a natural combo. And that is a natural combo. Though if you do delay it too much, you will get it blocked. So here confirm it, no problem, very good. There's an alternate version of this move, which is back 3-4. And the second one is a mid, but the drawback is that it's unsafe on block. So if you're not confident, maybe they're going to duck and while standing launch you for it. Then if you see them ducking, then do the mid and see if it hits them. Also, especially good at the wall is the dive kick loops. So you can do it from these moves, all of these moves, because since they're at the wall, they can't backdash and make your dive kicks whiff. In addition to that, you remember you had this move, right? Well, this is not a wall splat, but this one is. Kurtsuka back 1 is a wall splat. So you can force them into constant frame traps by doing something like this. And then if they attempt to do a move or sidestep to get out of the dive kick pressure, then you can use these. Down jab into this. Of course, to go back 1, which wall splats. Do be mindful that it is -14 on blocked. Okay, so there's also Kurtsuka back 3, which is the knockdown dive kick, which gives her the wall splat. Now, depending on where you hit the opponent with this, it might be safe on block or unsafe. So if you hit it like from point blank, it might be -14, but it can be -6 if you hit it from the farthest range with the tip of her foot in your opponent's toe, like that. And it wall splats as well, but it is linear. Now, as for options with meter, there's one option that comes to mind, and it's such a good option that you really want meter for this. And it's basically the ability to wall splat from one of her dangerous cancelable moves. Down 3, which is an unseeable 15 frame mid. You can do this, right? You can do that from a low. I said unseeable mid, didn't I? I meant to say unseeable low. So you can do one of these. And if you can punish a move if they whiff something, or your frame trap, and you and you get to do one of these, then 84 damage. So if you don't kill your opponent by carrying them to the wall or pressuring them to them, then a wall combo will probably kill them. And even if it doesn't, they have to deal with Okizeme. So to see this position, this is the next part and the final one for the wall that I want to explain. So when they stay in this position, you can get re-wall splat with down 3 into DP. So you want to delay down forward 3 on wake up after the combo if they do get up, so that they are greeted with that thing. It stops their attempts of retaliation, and if they duck, they're going to get hit again. Maybe they can get wall splatted again. And you can do a mix-up, obviously. The mix-up is they stay on the ground, they get a re-wall splat with down 3, or they get hit by, they get greeted by this. Now here's some. That's dangerous to do. It's a cheeky tactic, but if they do go to the side, then you can try one of those things. But basically the idea is really to get the wall splat, get the flop animation if you can, and then apply mix-up. Let's move on to her throw game. Now, I depleted a little bit of my health so I can show you something. Let's start with her one throw, and her one throw does two things if you can connect with it. First, it gives you more meter, and then it gives you more health. As you saw right there. So here's stuff that you can get from the one throw. If they decide to do a wake up kick, you can intercept them with a counter hit, with a back 1-2 or with a down 4. There you go. You can mash it out even if you want. So both of those options work. Like that. If you do find yourself blocking a wake up kick, a mid one, you can punish with down forward 4. It's 12 frames. Some characters get some better punishes than others. Eliza's isn't that great, but that's what she has. And if it's a low kick, then... So if it is a wake up low kick and you predict it, you can do a jump into big damage, as we've seen in the jumping section. So if they stay on the ground, oh, the floor is sparking. You can hit them with one of these, though it's going to hit at an odd angle, so the mini combo won't be... It's going to be a little bit harder to connect, but you can do that as well. As well as just regular moves that hit grounded opponents. You can hit them with like a down 3 or of course go back 3. If they side roll, they might escape one of the dive kicks. Like that. So for that situation, you do a down 4, which has tracking. Like that. Next up is the 2 throw, which is this. So the first option that we're going to explore is retaliation. You have to be quick on this, but you can get a counter hit back 1-2, as you saw there. So you have to be a little bit quick on that, but you can get a counter hit 1-2, back 1-2 I mean. Staying on the ground, you can't use the same Oki as the one throw. That thing puts a back 3+4, it doesn't give you the combo in that situation, but you can still use quick go back 3 and down 4, so the situation is the same. If they just stemmed up normally, you get a mix-up like that. And if you want to know, sometimes you can get like guaranteed moves when characters are waking up from the back, but at least it doesn't get any of that. It's not like Lily where you can get something like a 3-1 when the opponent is getting up, or hop kick, for example. It doesn't have that. Now the other throw is down forward 1+2, and this is important for Eliza because she gets a 1+2 throw. Throws in Tekken 7, you can break 1 or 2 throws with either 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. So there is no mix-up unless the character has a command throw, in which case the opponent has to look at the hands, at the arms, to guess, to correctly throw break. So it's important that Eliza has this throw. Make sure to use it plenty of times. Now for Okizeme for this, you get, what I like to do is a Moonglide mix-up. You're at a good range to use one of these. The opponent has to guess. If they do decide to stay on the ground, you can still do the Moonglide mix-up, yes. But you still have projectiles that hit people on the ground. So if you don't want to risk it by projecting yourself forward and applying the mix-up, you can throw one of these out. If they roll out of the way, they don't have enough time to punish you. Side throws are just her 1+2 throw. Same as Tekken Revolution. I wish they had different animations. Otherwise, in terms of Okizeme, you get the same thing. You get the Moonglide stuff. Or the projectile, if you wish. Now, there's another throw that gives you more health. And it's the back throw. Now, back throws are unescapable. So if you find yourself in your opponent's back, you can either do a combo, or you can snatch some of their health back to you. Like so. In this final chapter, I would like to give a demonstration, so to speak, of the practical application of some of the things that were taught in this tutorial. Obviously, I can't showcase everything, but some of the things I'm going to try and show them, you know, just to see how they work. Obviously, this is a very basic and simple example. I know that a lot of people get stuck in the green ranks, so here's an example of a fight against the green rank. This is a promotion to Vanguard.
Round 1.
Anyway, let's get down to the match. I back away and try to throw out some projectiles, and now I attempt to sidestep. I punish her attempt to sidestep with a Moonglide 3-4 and then end with a wall combo. I didn't do down for 3, it was an executional error. Could have punished that with a DP. Then the sweep didn't have that much range, so instead of blocking it, it ended up whiffing in my face. So I wasn't able to punish with a while standing one. Now I'm just trying to get out of whatever Lily is doing. Counter hit, back 1-2. See, the move is good to throw out. So first round is mine. Starting the round with the counter hit 4 didn't really work out in my favor. So now that I did the high highs, I was going for the mid, but didn't really go into my. I was trying to do that thing, the dive kicks into the frame trap with critical back 2. Now, knockdown, and I didn't see the wall there. Otherwise, that would have been an OTG from critical back 3+4. Now, there I could have done a back 4 into DP1, and then I dropped the combo. So that's no good. Don't do that. But let's see if I can redeem myself later on. So more projectiles into Moonglide 2. More projectiles for keep out. Just trying to not get hit by... oh yeah, there you go. Counter hit back 1-2. That's the good stuff. Just trying to not get hit by Lily things. And at this range, trying to sidestep to the left maybe. Okay, I attempted to jump because she was staying still. Lily was staying still, but then again I ended up being punished. Okay, trying to go for a wall splat with a down 3, but I was not at the right angle. Got some of my health back with the throw. Then I didn't miss the down for 3. I just didn't time it correctly. Alright, there you go. Now, just a little bit of defense from my part, just trying to get away. Trying to hit her with a down forward 4, but got intercepted and then ended with down 4 into a frame trap with while standing 4. So that was a basic example of stuff that you can do. I might put more matches with Eliza in my channel, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I think maybe one match is alright, just to see, like, to get an idea of what you can do. And depending on the opponent, you can also have different styles to play with Eliza. You didn't see me use down forward 1-4, you didn't see me use back 2-3 a lot of times, or that much of down forward 4. but those moves are still important. And you didn't really see me use down 3 into DP2. All of those fundamental tools, and that's really because I didn't need to use them. So use the tools that you know you have, depending on the context of the match. And you know, obviously I can't show you everything, but that was a small example, just to get an idea. All right.
Pepperoni. This concludes the guide to Eliza. I hope it was worth the effort I put into it. Now you can tell me if it worked or not, if it helped you. And leave a comment down below. Tell me how good it is, or bad. Obviously it's good. I know it's good. I put a lot of work into it. I made sure it was good. But I hope you enjoyed it nevertheless. Anyway, if you do like the video, then be sure to give me the thumbs up. I'm doing the YouTube thing now. I think it's worth it for this particular video. Oh, and do share it if you think there's somebody who can make use of this tutorial, if somebody wants to learn Eliza, something like that. Alright, I'll see you around then. GG's. Pepperoni.